Welcome back, miscreants. What's the lady version of miscreants?
Ladies can be miscreants as well.
Miscreants, okay.
Miscreants.
Miscreants to the Rage Select podcast. Boy, it's been a weird week, man.
It's been a slow week.
It's been a pretty slow week.
News-wise, anyway.
Yeah.
I've been busy as hell.
Yeah? What have you been up to?
You know, TV.
Being a movie star.
You got a TV show.
You gotta get optioned the rights to your life. Have they optioned the rights to your film life yet? Or?
No.
We've had a few people writing in asking who would play you in a movie about your life.
Really?
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 actors: kid you, teenage you, adult you.
Oh.
And you can throw in an old man you if you want.
Wait, what was it? Kid me?
Kid you.
Yeah.
Like teenage you.
Teenage me.
Right.
Tracy Jordan.
Okay.
Tracy Morgan.
Tracy Morgan.
Tracy Jordan's his character. Yeah. Tracy Morgan.
Okay.
I
Adult
was born
you?
a young black child.
All right.
Adult me.
Morgan Freeman.
I have been. I have actually started getting a distressing amount of comparisons to Bill Murray.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Bill Murray can maybe play old Jason.
Now,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, wait, yeah. We're looking at current casting.
Current me? I don't know. I'm not good at this. You tell me. What? Oh,
who's the guy that was the robot in Prometheus? He was
Fassbender.
Fassbender. Yeah.
Oh shit,
there you
son.
go. Fassbender.
I thought you were going to say something awful. But
Jonah Hill.
Yeah, Jonah Hill. I'll take Fassbender.
Yeah, I don't even know. What I do know is that we are right around the corner from what I want to talk about this a little bit before we get going into the gaming news. South by Southwest is snuck up on us and is right around the corner.
Yes.
Jason, what do you think about South by Southwest?
I think it's unwieldy and bananas, but I usually have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Whether I have a badge or not. I have a badge.
Yeah.
This year.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to soak it up. I'm going to try to do lots of stuff. Get to see the Toadies play.
Yeah.
It's like my favorite band. Get to see the Riverboat Gamblers play, one of my other favorite bands. What else? Oh, live action Mario Kart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Jimmy Kimmel's going to be there.
All right.
Which,
Do you remember last year? Do you remember what the big draw last year was?
No.
Grumpy Cat was in town.
Oh,
there was like a huge line to get your picture taken with Grumpy Cat. And I was just like,
Christ, humanity is stupid.
look, guys, I know it's a big thing and everything, but like, wait in line for 2 hours to take a picture with a cat with a deformed face, right?
Like, now, if the Doge was there,
well, but wouldn't you rather just Photoshop? Photoshop that head. Which I bet actually somebody online was telling me that it's actually Dog-E.
Dog-E?
That's what that's how you pronounce it. I couldn't tell. But I got to tell you, there is something coming to South by Southwest. It's kind of like Grumpy Cat that makes me want to punch a fucking baby in the balls that they don't even have. So I don't know if you're familiar with this, but if you've heard before of Cronuts, right?
Yeah.
Like big thing in New York. It's half a croissant, half a donut. They're supposed to be delicious, like movie stars waiting in line and shit for them. So the person who made them is coming into town, and they're going to have them at this little event that's going on. It's like a 2 or 3 hour event or something where they're going to be having little samples of Cronuts you can have. Badge holders only.
Yeah.
Eat all of my dick in your face because
I'm not going to be eating your dick, Jeff, because I'm going to be busy eating Cronuts.
I'm like, why don't you just rent a fucking truck and set it up on like East 3rd Street or something the entire time you're there and just make $1 billion or whatever?
Then it wouldn't be special.
That's what I fucking hate about this shit. I hate that shit about South by. In fact, I used to love South by Southwest because it would mean that a bunch of bands would come into town. And if you're just wanting to wait in line for a little while, you could probably get in to see them. What does a badge cost now? It's like $1,000 or something.
It's a lot of money.
Like,
it's a lot of money.
It's a new camera for the show.
I have a platinum badge.
How much does that cost? Like $50,000?
A lot.
Like honestly,
I didn't pay for it.
Do you have an approximation of how much a platinum badge will set
I want to say
you
it's
back?
like $1,300, but I don't know. Again, I didn't pay for it.
And it's like, and now if you don't have a badge, like.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
No, see, you haven't done the work. Because the last couple of, I've had a badge this year and last year for the first time. Right before that, and again, the town turns into an absolute circus.
It's a nightmare here.
I didn't have a badge before that, and I just did some legwork and found out about the day parties. Man, I spent the last several South Bys before I had a badge.
Sure.
drunk and entertained on very little money.
I guess, okay, for me...
I saw bands on top of rooftops downtown, free beer, free barbecue.
I mean, part of my problem with it is the fact that there's always like two bands that I want to see, right?
Yeah.
And I don't really, I mean, they're usually like second or third tier bands where I like these guys, but then you get into this thing about like, do you want to pay $25 for parking or spend 6 hours looking for a space?
Yeah, that's a pain in the ass.
And then once it's done, it's like, they make you don't have a badge. You got to wait out line with the fucking plebeians. And there's not even you need to get there early enough that there isn't already a line. You need to get there a few hours before it starts to get in line so that after the magical, mystical, big dick badge holders get to go in,
that's me.
They let you fucking dirt plebes in to see a show.
That's what it says on my badge, actually. Big dick.
Hugest dickus, biggest dickus.
Yep.
I mean, that's the thing that I hate about it is that for South by Southwest, this is what I don't like about South by Southwest. It's the same thing I don't like about ACL, right? It's that all of these fantastically awesome bands come to town. But the barrier to entry on them is so fucking high when you've got they're coming to the town that I live in. Like I've got a car and a house. I don't have to and yet I
have a podcast.
I have a podcast.
I'm somebody.
But I want
to get into Lady Gaga.
I don't mind waiting in line. It's just that the whole thing is, I mean, you gotta did you RSVP on the website ahead of time to get into this?
See, you got to do a little legwork. You can't just walk up. Come on.
I live here, motherfucker.
Oh.
What? Shut up. You know what I'm talking about.
I do, but
it's the same reason that I won't wait in line here in town to go to Franklin's Barbecue, even though everybody says it's the best thing in the entire universe.
That's stupid. There's so much good barbecue in this town. You don't have to wait in line for hours.
I was almost about to wait in line to go to Franklin's Barbecue one time, and my sister used to go there all the time. And then one day she told me that she waited in line for an hour and a half to get barbecue at Franklin's.
Yeah.
And then when she got in there, they were out of pork.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as out of pork. Were there no more pigs left in the world? Go get another pig and make it into ribs, motherfucker.
It's not like, here, we have a pig, let's wave the rib wand over him. Oh, ribs.
Is that not how cooking works?
No.
I go to the
You're worse than I am.
restaurant and they put the food in the paper bag and they give
that's what I do.
$10 and I just figure at Taco Bell in the back it's like Hogwarts, right? They're just like sour creamus expelliarmus, and then
I want to learn that spell.
Sour creamus.
Yeah, I would do it when I ejaculate during sex. Allison would be so mad.
Would that make you ejaculate sour cream? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know.
I'm cast the spell on your jug.
Like all of a sudden, sour cream is everywhere. And Allison just thinks I'm calling 911. You need to go to the doctor.
Oh man, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've gotten out of the habit of going downtown, but South by it's usually just such a
mess.
It's a bummer, man.
Last year I was down there. It was the last day of South by, and it was St. Patrick's Day.
Oh Jesus!
It was a shit show, man.
With the police just waving people into a jail truck down there.
I could not. We walked around, could not find any bars where there was a place to sit. Not one of them.
Well, but that's downtown, man. There are very few bars downtown with seating anyway. That's why we drink in like Central Austin, because there's a patio usually.
That's true.
But yeah, I don't know. The last 2 years, I've looked at the list and I've gone, and it's also kind of a pain in the ass when you've got a huge list of bands that are playing for the entire week.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to see if anybody that I like is playing. It's like, okay, here's 8,000 names. Look through them one at a time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then there's always the secret shit that nobody knows about. There's actually one year where a friend of mine who was like really into the local, like kind of dirt rock, like grungy punk rock folks, he was like my Sherpa, right? So I was dressed all nice and shit. I was just hanging out with like him and his girlfriend and his brother.
Oh, I've been introduced to that guy.
Yeah,
he's legit, man.
He is. He was like, I mean, he's not putting on an act or anything.
No.
He's been like that. He's like that for as long as I known him.
Nice dude, too.
He's a super nice guy. Taught me everything I know about Dark Souls. But yeah, there was one year where his brother and his brother's friend came into town, and I just like wandered around the east side with him to all the secret parties and saw everything. In fact, I think I saw. I went to this like after hours house party, and I remember it was hilarious because I brought a pony keg of Heineken with me.
Yeah.
And I ended up trading like like quarter of a cup of Heineken for cigarettes because I ran out of cigarettes. But all the dumb kids there, none of them had any beer. None of them had thought, like, before I go out tonight, I'm going to go to the convenience store and throw a 12-pack in the trunk or whatever. So I was like the merchant in fucking Resident Evil 4. Like, trade. I was in prison, Jason.
Oh, did you get any hipster bitches?
No. Hipster bitches they're judgmental, man.
Remember some skinny jeans.
Like,
why don't you come over here? I'll give you some Heineken and fuck you.
20-year-old dirt rock bitches. Like, if you're like clean and you got a shirt with buttons on it, they're just like, oh, fucking fascist. I know. Like,
I just want to tell them I am. You're goddamn right. I am. I own you.
I don't think I've ever oppressed anybody. I mean,
I haven't, but I want to.
I tried. Not to
really
oppress people.
Want to oppress someone.
Who do you want to oppress?
Well, not just Grant. I mean, aside from Grant,
right? Grant, but he's so agreeable. It's no fun. You want somebody who doesn't want to be oppressed.
I want some old rich white guy who's not used to being oppressed.
Okay,
oppress him.
You want to oppress? What do you want to make him do? This is going into weird territory, by the way, guys. I'm sorry, but I'm curious.
I don't know yet.
Just general oppression.
I want to maybe like make him like rub himself in Go-Gurt,
right?
And get naked with wearing only the Go-Gurt and like jump into an arena with a wild bull.
Dude, what if you reverse
a horny wild bull?
What if you reverse high school oppressed him? Where like he's an old man, right? And you're younger, and you're like, you are not going out in that suit, old man. Put on the Ramones t-shirt that I bought for you. And he's like, I don't wanna. And you're like, do it. And then you make him go
make him dress like a club kid.
Right. And then make him go to the board meeting and all of his old man friends are making fun of him. They're like, John, what are you wearing today? And he's like, my kid made me wear this.
I'm being oppressed by one of the guys from Rage Select.
So if you're an old man and you want Jason Murphy to oppress you,
come on, fucker.
mail@rageselect.com is the email address. Or if you are simply just an older person and you would like to take a picture of you wearing punk rock clothes and send it to us, I could be fine.
Yeah.
By the way, one person sent me an email last week and they said balls, and then I scrolled down, and what it was a picture from Dark Souls with crudely drawn balls and the "you mad bro" face on it. So
all right, that's good.
That's as close as it's
good.
Been. Somebody else, we have an email from somebody else that addresses that later on, but we'll get into that later.
Okay.
All right, but without further ado, we don't have
news.
We've got some news. We have really a very sparse news week, but we have one piece of news. We tried to talk about it on Thursday. We're going to try to talk about it on Saturday, but since we're recording this after those, I'm going to tell you that we fail because games.
Yeah.
There's a new Batman game.
There is.
Arkham Knight. And it got leaked. There's a trailer. There's all this information out about it now. All right.
It's all pre-rendered cutscenes and stuff.
Yep.
But goddamn, look at those and try not to get hard and or wet.
Yep. And I think that having the whole voiceover from his dad with the responsibility to
good. And it's Kevin Conroy as God intended it.
Yep, Kevin Conroy. You know what? Last week there was a story on the website about something that sparked this furious debate about the last game, Arkham Origins. In the comments.
Yeah.
And I don't want to everybody knows I'm not biggest fan of that game.
Yeah.
But like when I see this, I like that game less. When I'm like, it's kind of like, you know what? The whole thing about the Arkham Origins is, to me, Arkham Origins is like a circa Call of Duty or Modern Warfare era Treyarch game. Where it's like, this is fine, but I want the name brand. I want
the weapons grade Batman.
I want the Burger King ass, not that other place that moved into that Burger King and started. But all right, so let's run down the bullet points, right?
Okay.
We got Kevin Conroy, right?
Yeah.
Let's see some of the other stuff that was mentioned in the article. It will be 5 times the size of Arkham City.
That's not hard to do.
Well, it depends on the level of detail, right?
Sure.
I mean, usually... I guess it's going to be for next-gen consoles? PC?
Yeah.
It's a PC...
PC, PS4, Xbox One.
Okay. So they've got the power to do that and to make it look real good.
Yeah.
There is a sweet-ass Batmobile in that trailer. It's not even really the mobile. It's more of a tank.
It looks to me like a cross between the Tumbler and the one from the Tim Burton Batman movies.
It had like missiles and shit on the front of it.
Yeah.
It was all driving itself, and but what's
there was some pretty titillating Batman or Batmobile action in there.
Yeah. And who else? Let's see. We saw We saw Harley Quinn. We saw
Harley Quinn, Two-Face,
Scarecrow.
Penguin. Do we see Scarecrow?
Was he in there?
I think we heard Scarecrow.
Okay.
We definitely heard Scarecrow.
Okay.
I don't remember seeing him. I only watched the trailer once.
And, it's funny. If you guys haven't played Arkham City, spoiler, but I'm pretty sure that we're out of the realm at this point.
Yeah, sure.
Joker's dead at this point.
Right.
And so, there was actually a thing where they said that Rocksteady is creating a new villain specifically for this game.
Yeah, interesting.
And I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, sure.
That's one of the things I like about Rocksteady is that they do seem to flex their creative muscles with a lot of this stuff.
I mean, they've got plenty to draw from, though,
I guess the question, I guess what would be kind of interesting is that they've already established a lot of the other Batman villains inside of the Arkham series already.
Mm-hmm.
So, you kind of need somebody that's maybe bigger than those villains in their established hierarchy. Because you kick the shit out of Two-Face 3 times in Arkham City.
Yeah.
You kick the shit out of everybody. You kick the shit out of Bane. You kick the shit out of everybody in that game. So maybe bringing in somebody that Batman hasn't kicked the shit out of already is a good move.
Maybe like Prometheus or something.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
But if they're making a brand new actual, let's see, what does it say? Will include an arch villain created from scratch by Rocksteady and DC Entertainment CCO Jeff Johns. Everybody likes Jeff Johns, right?
Oh,
no?
Yeah, hit or miss.
Okay. So I guess the other thing, it looks like there's not going to be any multiplayer, which kind of sucks because that was the other thing. I guess that's what I've always been looking for out of an Arkham game is both Batmobile and let me play co-op with Robin.
Yes.
Not in some segregated multiplayer, but just
it only makes sense.
Yeah. There's also a thing here where they were talking about traffic-friendly streets, 5 times the size. At any given time, there are between 3 and 4 times the number of thugs active in Gotham City that there were in Arkham City, which makes you wonder if this is actually Gotham City. I guess, are they going to do No Man's Land? How could there be 5 times as many? All it was on the streets of Arkham City was thugs. There's going to be 5 times as many thugs as there were in Arkham City? What the shit, man?
That's a lot.
That's a lot. I like to see... You know what I'd like to see?
Look like the Warriors.
I'd like to... It's one of the things I wanted to see in Arkham Origins is why don't they do the thing like you would do, and there's plenty of games that do this. Saints Row is one that's coming to mind right now, where it's let me go... do a little mini mission and clear out an area, carve out an area, stop crime in that area. And then at that point, why don't we see residents on the streets and stuff? Because all the Arkham games, it's been there ain't
it's nothing.
There ain't shit. They've got the contrived. I guess in Arkham City they had the political refugees, right?
Oh, right, a handful of them,
right, but nothing there was no indication in either one of those games that anybody except for criminals lived in Gotham City.
Yeah. It's wow, why not just wipe this place off the face of the earth?
I don't even know in all of the continuity of you know what? Somebody should write a Batman comic about some people, write a sitcom set in Gotham City to show that somewhere in Gotham City there are people that are just living their lives, because as it is, when you look at the comics and all these assholes there, okay, well, what's the benefit to living in Gotham City?
Decent people shouldn't live here.
Right. So anyway, I don't know about you. I'm real excited. Harley Quinn
October 14th
is going to be a pre-order bonus that you can do in challenge maps.
Yeah.
They keep trying to push Harley Quinn.
I know. Well, she's got a pretty big following.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm yeah, sure, whatever. Cool. Harley Quinn, great.
What if the new villain is just the Riddler in a mech suit or something?
That could be kind of dumb.
That would be pretty
But
dumb.
I hope they pull some sneaky Riddler stuff, because it's about time for him to put him in the forefront.
Right. He's gotten punked in the last 3 games. He's got bitched up in the last 3 games. Okay, I'm going to ask you though right now. I'm going to ask you to take a stand.
Okay.
Are they going to find some way to finagle Joker back into the picture before the game is over?
No.
No?
No.
Hard no.
Hard no.
Okay. I am also going to go with hard no. Rocksteady seems like they like the franchise too much to just be well, God damn it. So, all right, cool. Oh, also, you know what? I want to kind of do a sidebar here real fast.
Mm-hmm.
So, Angry Joe posted on his Facebook page. I think it was on his personal Facebook page. New Arkham game is announced. Millions of Superman fans go, and it led to this debate in the comment section about how you can't make a good Superman game.
Yes, you can.
And it got me thinking about it. So, like, the main argument to you can't make a good Superman game seems to be like, well, what's he going to do? Beat up a bunch of bank robberies? Just blow on them. They can't hurt him, blah, 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 blah. So, all right, listen, man, I can think about 4 different ways you can get around that. Like, you could totally depower Superman and make him get his powers back, like kryptonite him right in the fucking face.
Sure.
Which, is a little bit of a cheesy cop-out, but, all games do the abilities all the time. Start out fully powered Superman, you get fucked up, maybe you got to, start the game a little bit less powered, and then get more power as the game goes on. But then I had the second thought, and I was like, man, there ain't nothing to say that Superman has to be beating up criminals in Metropolis. Parademons, manhunters,
up the ante, because when you're dealing with a guy who's basically a god,
right?
Or here's an interesting way you could do it with regular run-of-the-mill thugs. That part could be something where it feels like Tetris,
right?
Where there's just too much to deal with at one time,
right?
And you have to do it. It's like you're getting all these warnings just going off nonstop.
Yeah,
because that kind of makes you feel like Superman because he can hear horrible things happening all over the world. Mm-hmm. And he can't stop them all.
I was actually thinking about that, about you're going to be so, the individual combat with enemies will be very small, but make it like a Mass Effect or Walking Dead style thing where it's like, there are 2 things happening right now. There is a bank robbery in progress, and there is a person getting murdered in the park. Which of these 2 things are you going to stop right now?
Right.
And then maybe throw in some mechanics where as the game goes on, you do a mini, a subset of missions and get Green Lantern on call, and then he will keep the crime in this section down a little bit or whatever. And then at the end, like I said, throw that bitch out in space and have him fighting Brainiac robots and Bizarro and all that. There's plenty of threats to see. The argument that because Superman would murder a regular person if he punched him,
then you don't have him fight regular people.
Right. There's so much more in the DC universe than just that one thugs.
Yeah. Where they do the whole thing where they always did in the George Reeves Superman. They empty their gun shooting at him, and then they throw the gun at him. It's like, oh yeah, that's gonna work. That's good.
Every time I see somebody throw a gun in a movie, I'm just like, what are you doing? What if you got more bullets later, asshole?
It's like, those are expensive.
Or what's even worse is sometimes when they shoot the gun and it runs out, and they throw it at the person that they're fighting, but then sometimes they shoot the gun and it's out, and they'll just throw the gun away, and you're just like, oh, come on, man. Anyway, I still think you can make a really good Superman game. You just have to have some creativity to it.
Absolutely.
All right. Next up, we've got a very interesting story. I don't know if you have looked at this yet, but Satoru Iwata has been out there. Nintendo is basically refocusing their efforts on health and quality of life for human beings.
Fuck off.
I don't know what this means yet.
That means they're flailing. It's like a drowning man.
But what does it mean? Are they going to be selling diet pills and exercise boards? Or let's see, what's this quote say? With a platform business that improves people's quality of life in enjoyable ways, we will attempt to establish a new business area apart from our dedicated video game business.
Apart from?
Yep.
So are they moving away from?
It looks like they're trying to set up a new segment of the organization that's dealing specifically with health and fitness.
This means fuck all to me.
Well, I guess the crazy thing about this is the fact that when I think about people who are brand loyal to Nintendo, we're all still playing video games, right? I was never I love Nintendo so much, I want them to take over everything in my life.
Right.
I want them to buy me a house and then tell me when to work out all day. I don't know. We've seen with the Wii U, we've seen Nintendo kind of, like you said, flailing a little bit. Do you think this? What do you think? You think they could make?
I don't know. It just seems like an act of desperation.
They sold a lot of those Wii Fit boards, man.
Yeah, I mean that's probably what's spurring this. I'm no market analyst or anything, but man, Nintendo just seems determined to buck the status quo. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it works for them, and sometimes it's an abysmal failure.
Well, let's see. How many times has it worked for them? Once.
With the Wii.
With the Wii.
And, they've also made with the handhelds.
DS, right?
Yeah.
GBA, DS,
big,
that sort
big
of stuff.
splash with handhelds.
Yeah. I mean, Virtual Boy. Not as much.
Big fail. Wii U. Failing,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they've got They've got a fair amount. I don't know. This just seems weird to me because once again, this reminds me of that E3 that one year where they came out and when they had Shaun White and the Cammy lady was like the presenter or whatever, where their whole presentation was just like, look at this crazy thing that you don't care about. Look at this crazy thing you don't care about.
Right.
And here's a heartbeat sensor that you don't care about. I'm just like, you've lost me, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to sit here and hammer on Nintendo, but I just don't get real excited at the stuff they say anymore.
Here's a new polish for your tires.
Right.
Look how shiny it makes them.
I mean, Sony's getting out there with like what I was listening to something at CES or something. They were talking about like they want to make like a tennis racket that has like electronics in it that will report to your phone via this app about your swings and stuff. Like, all right, that's fine, but they still make the PlayStation.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I just wonder, as I have over the last couple of weeks, about whether they'll drop the Wii U, whether they'll go in for another console.
Yeah, can't wait to see what E3 holds.
Yeah, E3 is going to be my bet for E3 is going to be double down on the Wii U and 3DS because they're not even going to have a conference. Probably they didn't last year. Remember?
That's right.
They just had a Nintendo Direct. They didn't have an actual like go. But once again, I look at that and I go, that seems about right. Like, I guess there's something to the spectacle of shoving a bunch of people in an auditorium, and making them live tweet your bullshit.
Yeah,
but
I mean, Nintendo delivered better than just about anyone at E3. I mean, they had that floor and they said, "Listen, here are all of the games that we're releasing over the next like year and a half or something, and they're all playable. Yeah, just go ahead." And it was just like, shit, man. I played the new Mario Kart, the new Donkey Kong Country. This stuff's not even out yet, and it was impressive. Most developers were like, well, here's something. You can look at us play it for 15 minutes. All right, get the fuck out. Get out.
But do you think that a lot of that was because last year at E3, the stuff that Nintendo was showing was they knew that it wasn't going to be like a mob, right? If you just put a station out there with the new Mario Kart on it, you aren't going to have a line like like when I saw the Wii U for the first time, the line was like some people didn't even get in to see the Wii U because the line was so goddamn long. And then 1 year later, they're just like, you play what? Please play something. Like, is it just because the Wii U has been losing traction that they were able to do that? Because if they had a next gen system, like you looked at the lines to play Warframe on the PS4 as opposed to the line to play Bayonetta 2 on the Wii U, and there was like two people in line to play Bayonetta 2, and all the PS4s were just mobbed when we were there.
Right.
So I don't know if that's how that worked out or not. But speaking of the PS4 and Sony, oh boy, Jack Trenton is stepping down.
Trenton.
Trenton. I always want to say Trenton. Trenton is stepping down as Skia's or Sony Computer Entertainment's president.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
He rocked it at E3.
Yeah. Well, he had Microsoft threw him a real slow, underhanded pitch with the softball.
They did. Hey, I'm not them. Sony is not Microsoft. Yay!
Right. My favorite part of last year was when he was doing that, and while everybody was cheering, he just slipped in that like you're gonna have to have gold to play online, and everybody was just still like, "What do you say? I don't know. Keep cheering. Woo! Used games for life, bitch. What?" I think I don't know. I think he's been there for 19 years. That's a
long time.
That's a long fucking time.
Yeah.
So he was there for the PS3. I mean, I remember him. He's been out on stage D3 almost every year, right?
Yeah. Retire, dude.
Yeah.
You earned it.
Yeah. I don't know. Hey, good luck to you. Maybe go work for Zynga with Don Matrick or something.
Right. Don Matrick walks into his office and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" They're like, "Don, you got to meet your new boss. Who is it? Jack Trenton." God damn it! No! He throws himself out a window.
Oh man!
And Trenton just looks at him. Sup, bitch?
I like the idea that when they're not on stage, that all these guys are like hardcore gangsta in the club and shit. Like that once they get off stage, they're just like, they immediately all go to the strip club together with like Satoru Iwata and fucking Miyamoto and all.
Miyamoto walks in a white tux with shades and doves flying all around him,
and everybody's like, "Shigeru!"
Yeah, that's right. Suda51 is in the basement doing coke.
Yeah, that's right. With fucking Hideo Kojima.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's the after party. That's the E3 party that you need to use your National Geographic connections to get me
Do you know who I am? I bring coke for Hideo.
That's right. I want to be the guy who has to pick up Hideo Kojima's cocaine from the crazy guy in Boogie Nights on the way to E3.
Suda51's like, Suda, go easy on this. It's laced. Fuck it. Give it to me. Put it in my nose.
Oh, man. They just got John Romero hooked up like their bitch down there, like serving him drinks.
He can't get in the fucking door.
What's that guy even doing?
I thought he was like making mobile games or something.
I don't know. Well, you know what? Hey, there's actually another story that I didn't have on here that I think came up sometime last week. But did you hear that they have confirmed there's a new Doom coming from id?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Are they developing it?
Yes.
Without
Carmack, without Romero, I don't even know who's left there from the original.
Hollingshead?
Okay.
Is he still there?
I don't even know. But I guess the question at this point is, like, you know, there was a time and a place where if id was putting something out, you fucking perk up and listen.
Yep.
Now it's kind of like...
Yeah, well, they wait so long in between games, and then their last one was Rage.
Yep.
Which was just... It was okay.
I wonder, though, if them being... Because they got bought, right, by ZeniMax in between.
Yeah.
I wonder if ZeniMax is going to be cracking the whip over there and being like, none of this when it's done bullshit, motherfucker. You're putting this out in 2015, you know.
This isn't 1993 anymore.
Right. Speaking of when it's done, we forgot to mention, that was the thing. I was watching that Batman trailer, and then it was like late 2014, and I was just like, oh, thank God. Thank you so much for not putting out a teaser trailer like 6 years before the game is out, like TBA or whatever.
No, well, that's the thing. You can expect this until they make an announcement otherwise. There will be a Batman game every year. It's up there with Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed now.
Okay, but do you think that they're going to be able to keep chiseling? I mean, Rocksteady's got the cachet at this point to be able to go do their own thing.
That's why the last one wasn't Rocksteady.
Well,
they're passing the baton.
No, I know, but like... don't you think that at this point Rocksteady wants to do something besides Batman?
Oh, yeah.
If I was them?
Yeah.
So, like, the thing is that, okay, so if they put this one out this year, right? Arkham Knight comes out this year, and then let's see, whatever that Warner Brothers studio is that did...
Wasn't it like Warner Brothers Montreal or something?
I think something like that. That they're going to be putting out another one next year, right?
Yeah.
But then who's putting out the one after that?
They've probably got... I bet they already have someone working on
Respawn Entertainment.
Respawn.
They're like, we want to sign a deal with you to make 6 Batman games every other year.
No.
Wes and Zampella just like, fuck this industry.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Well, speaking of release dates, we've got a solid release date for Watch Dogs.
Ooh, May 27th.
May 27th. So what do we got? Is that we're in March now?
Yeah, it's 2 months away, man. Well, 2.5.
End of May.
Almost 3.
Yep. So that was supposed to be last year.
Yeah.
This shit better be worth it.
Yeah.
Better be worth it.
It looks fun.
I've been teasing my groin for a while with this fucking game. It better goddamn be worth it. And last but certainly not least in the category of what the actual fuck.
No, I think certainly least.
Least. Okay, certainly least.
Last and least.
Last and least. There's a new Shaq Fu game.
So we have some emails.
So they're starting... I like the name of the game company, right?
What is the name? Oh, Big D's.
Big D's Productions.
Yeah.
They're asking for $450,000 on Indiegogo to make a new Shaq Fu game.
That is about $450,000 more than they deserve.
It is about $400,049,999.
This is something that people come up with when they're drunk or high. Like, dude.
Oh my God!
Listen. Let's make a new... Here, top me off. Let's make a new fucking Shaq Fu. Yes! Dude, I'm going to... I started the Indiegogo page right now.
All right.
It's up. Yeah. High five.
So,
dude, pass that over.
Apparently, this production company has worked on... This is in this... they're former AAA developers that worked on... Halo, Street Fighter, Final Fantasy, Alan Wake, Battlefield, Killzone, and
what?
more. Yeah, that's the question. It's like, I was at the QA bug bash for Killzone.
From the janitorial staff that brought you Battlefield.
Right. But we watched a trailer for it. It's going to be like a third-person beat-em-up or something. And I got to say that I watched the trailer. I don't know who their modeling person is, but they kind of... Shaq looks like he might have gotten bitten by a radioactive roid machine or something. Like the muscles on that dude were messed up. And I don't have any feelings about Mr. Shaq one way or another. But, like, I don't know if you should have...
It's Kazam to you, motherfucker.
I don't know if you should have him as the voice actor in your game. Like,
I know
he's not a professional voice actor. It was like
it was terrible.
What was it, like 2 years ago when they put... What was it, John Glenn or whatever in both Mass Effect and something else? It was like, he's not a voice actor.
Right.
He's fucking terrible, man.
It's okay to get someone else to do it.
Right. You could probably find a professional voice actor that could totally do Shaq and also knew how to act.
Yeah. There you go.
Boom. But maybe this will spark a sudden success, for Shaquille O'Neal as an entertainer again.
Yay.
And we will finally get Shazam 2. And what was that other movie? The terrible
Kazam
movie
2.
Kazam 2. Yeah, not Shazam. Right. What was that other terrible movie that he was in?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Okay. I can't remember either.
If he's
was he
in
a superhero, though, right? In some movie? Steel.
Oh.
Kazam 2 and Steel 2.
Jeez.
There we go. The return of Shaquille O'Neal.
No. Yeah, that's Warner Brothers. Like, yeah, that's all we need. We're having trouble getting enough DC properties off the ground. We need to bring Steel back.
That's Rocksteady's next project is the Steel video game, based on the Shaquille O'Neal movie. I'd play it. I'd play it.
Yeah, you know what? I would too, because you'd fucking make me.
Well, I only make you play it for like 30 minutes, though, these days.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
All right, folks. Well, you know what? That's all the news that's fit, and I had to stretch a little bit on that last one. We are going to take some of your emails. The email address is mail@rageselect.com right after we take a break, and we'll be right back with more Rage Select Podcast. All right, everybody, and we are back, and it's time for questions.
My favorite part.
Are you ready, Jason?
I am.
The first one comes in from Sam. Sam writes in and says, "Greeting, internet and TV stars." Which one am I a TV star?
To Catch a Predator. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah. Okay, all right, I got you. I have a question that involves me revealing how stupid I am. That's a great question. Once I got into the third difficulty of Diablo, it got kind of hard. And the gear I was getting wasn't enough to satisfy me. But in the Real Money Auction House, there was a legendary weapon I could use for only $1.25, and I had $1.25 to spare. And then I needed another, and another. I think you get the idea. Anyway, I invested a lot into lifesteal to keep my character alive, and Blizzard released a patch that makes high amounts of lifesteal less useful. Copied from their patch info. Quote, "Lifesteal has been redesigned and is now less effective at higher character levels. At level 60, lifesteal is reduced to 10% effectiveness. Is this a problem I can feasibly be compensated for? Not as much for feeling cheated as for would liking that money back. Love and human sacrifices, Sam." I think this is a question we haven't really gotten asked before about.
It's an interesting little conundrum when it comes to microtransactions and stuff like that.
Because
even though this isn't really a microtransaction, but you get the idea.
Yeah, well, I guess it sort of is. Like, what if say Dead Space, they launch and they have all those weapon packs, and they put those out, and then
what
one
if you were
was
buying them from other people?
Really powerful, and then they were like, "Oh, well, we nerfed that weapon."
Yeah.
So the $5 you spent for the Apocalypse Destroyer, now the Apocalypse Destroyer is more, we call it the Tickle Fairy now. And
Yes.
It's a weird thing because you can't nerf most other products.
Yeah.
They can't release a patch to rewrite the end of Avengers and make it shitty that you have to download or something.
Right. God, that's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, the short answer is no, you're screwed.
Yeah.
But that's really, they're trying to make the game better. They're not trying to screw you.
Yeah.
But in making the game better, they're kind of screwing you.
It's hard to do balanced stuff.
Yeah.
Normally it's hard to do balanced stuff, and usually it just involves a lot of complaining, but I can see how in this situation it would be like, I spent money specifically for the thing that you have now decided to take away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm sure that that big old giant block of text that you have to hit accept before you could do anything on.
Right.
You've given up all of your children belong to Diablo.
Yeah, hell, if they want to send Diablo to your house,
right,
to eat all of your food and pee on your couch, they can probably do that.
I bet Diablo piss smells just
it's
awful.
Probably gross.
But it's an interesting question. I would say that this just probably falls under the category of caveat emptor, right? Like I can't see any court.
Yeah.
Plus, you also have to say okay, he said he spent $1.25 and then he spent another $1.25. But let's just say high end. $20 you maybe put in there.
Yeah.
That's the other problem is that nobody's really going to take you seriously for trying to get your $20 back from Blizzard.
That's a losing game. So yeah, it is very much caveat emptor. It's one of those things where okay, let's say you buy all these weapons and then years from now they shut down the servers.
Right.
That's a thing.
Yes, it is.
We're in just really kind of uncharted territory when it comes to all forms of media, physical and otherwise.
Yep.
If you think about, I was talking to someone the other day who had a bunch of burned CDs.
Okay,
now, this is not quite the professionally manufactured CDs or DVDs,
right?
But he burned them. Bought some stuff off of iTunes, presumably, and put them on a CD, and now. He's pulled them out, and he didn't have them out in the sun or anything. He's pulled them out, and a lot of them don't even work.
Sure,
they're just dead. So, and I just got to thinking about my colossal DVD collection and how some of those, even now, are probably useless. And so,
as a brief tangent, I read something a long time ago that, as I understand it, because of the burnable nature of CDR media, that it does degrade over time, but that professionally burned DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that, it tends to take exponentially longer.
Okay,
so I don't think.
But you get my point.
Yeah,
is that nobody really knows. This is all very new.
Yeah,
and I mean, servers get shut off for something you've invested a lot of time and money into. Things get taken away from you sometimes.
Multiplayer servers get turned off for games
all the time.
Yeah.
So that's just the nature of the beast, and it's not right. But the alternative isn't really. Something you can do anything about.
It's weird because the stuff it comes down to that idea of you're putting your trust in the hands of a private corporation that does not owe you anything. It's actually, I think that this is a good intro to there's going to be a problem eventually.
Right.
That problem is the $250+ that I've spent on Xbox Live and the PlayStation Network.
Yeah.
Someday that shit's going to be gone, right?
Right.
And I think about it all the time about how a lot of people motherfuck the dirty pirates out there, but a lot of times those are the only people that are involved with trying to save stuff.
Right.
The only people that are really truly invested in trying to keep those old games in some kind of workable state.
Some of them actually do act as archivists.
Yeah.
And I'm not justifying it or anything, but some of them out there really aren't out there to proliferate and give to everyone. They're out there to say, I want to keep this, and that's places like the Underdogs.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and we've seen already examples of company makes X game, right, and they viciously keep it. They don't want it pirated. They're viciously keeping it to themselves. So if everybody follows the rules, it's they're in charge of it. And then 10, 15 years down the line, that company is dissolved.
Right.
And where is the game now?
Yeah.
It's just a weird thing. I personally, as far as his question goes, I was thinking about this, and I fall squarely in the realm of I think that the whole of the video game industry, and especially with the whole digital purchasing type of stuff, if we're not going to have demos, because it used to be that demos were the way, right?
Yeah.
Demos were how you would figure out if you wanted to buy something ahead of time.
Right.
But there's a whole extra credits thing where they talked about why don't demos, because demos these days are probably only ever going to hurt you. They're not going to help you. Because the people that are excited are going to buy your game regardless. The only thing that a demo will probably do is some people will play it and go, oh, well, I was excited about that, but now I'm not because I don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
Boom. I feel like the entire industry needs to get off of their fucking assholes, or we need to hold their feet over the fire and make them have a fucking return policy for this bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
That I can't count the number of Steam games that I bought that looked pretty cool, and I played it for 5 seconds and was like, "This, I'm not going to like this," and yet nothing. So if there was some kind of return policy that they had, then they could maybe segue that into like maybe Blizzard could tell you, you spent $20 on this stuff. I tell you what, we're taking this stuff away. We're going to give you $20 worth of credit.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to cost them anything.
Right.
It's not going to fuck their economy up. They're just going to give you back a little something to garner goodwill.
Or even $10 worth of credit.
Sure, or even that. Yeah, like let you virtually sell it back, return it with a restocking fee or whatever.
Yeah,
type
absolutely.
Of thing. And I think that if we could just, but the problem is that right now there is no incentive for them to do that.
Right.
Because nobody can hold their feet to the fire. So, all right, our next question comes in from Edward. Edward says, "Hello, Rage Select. I have 2 quick questions for you. If you had your choice of any composer/band, dead or alive, to make a score/soundtrack for a video game, who would it be, and what type of game would it be? For example, think if someone like Richard Wagner did a score for a game. That shit would be pretty epic. 2, has a video game score/soundtrack ever been so bad that you had to mute it or just quit the game altogether? Rage on. Best regards, Edward."
Yes. As for the first one, I'm going to have to go with Basil Palladouris, or Palladouris, or however you say his name.
Okay.
Did the soundtrack to Conan.
Okay.
The Barbarian. Yeah,
Sure.
He's made some shitty soundtracks, but, man, I want to just see some of that in an adventure game. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. See some of that in just a big, like, adventure. Hell, just make another Conan game and use that score.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. What about you?
I want to play something like Bulletstorm, but I want the whole soundtrack to be original music written by 1983 Def Leppard. Like, I want some like straight up hair rock.
Yes.
Not tongue in cheek. Like, no, dude, they're into it. They're serious.
Yeah.
Like,
from Def Leppard's album, What the Dick?
right, exactly. Just like that would be an awesome change of pace. Because I don't know about you. Like in the second question, I was trying to think of an example where I've ever had a game where the music was so bad that I turned it off.
I remember specifically turning off the sound when I was playing Kid Nicky on the 8-bit Nintendo. Over and over and over.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't think of one because usually, I mean, I played so many games over the years that shit just fades in the background for me. I can think of there have been times where, I mean, I think I was originally tempted to like try to make my own soundtrack for games from time to time, like mute the music and then like on the Xbox they had a thing where you could play music at the same time. But it always just seemed like too much of a pain in the ass, like trying to make a playlist and then you've heard it over and over again.
I'd also like to see like some big space opera with what's it, Holst?
Yeah,
who did the planets?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
you're all like classical and shit, man.
Yeah.
I don't know why all I can think of is like I want to take the Styx album that Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto was on, and make an actual video game out of that concept album and then play that.
Shut up! No.
What's wrong with Styx?
I am Kilroy.
That's
Kilroy.
Right. That's right. That's the character's name.
I know.
He's dressed up as Mr. Roboto.
I get it, yes.
You guys got to go look up the actual... You got to look up the lore. You got to look up the Styx wiki and look up all the characters in that album.
I'm sure it's on Wikipedia.
I'm sure that it totally is. I don't know. I mean, I think that... I think that I would like to see more... just in general, I think that it would be cool if you could make a game that was a little bit like Bastion...
Yeah.
But like where the narrator from Bastion was the soundtrack, where you were able to write a soundtrack that had like loops that would keep going, but then be able to customize that soundtrack so that like when you started getting into some shit, like it would start bringing in more epic parts to, because that's one of the great things about scores in movies, right? Is that they're tailored for the scenes that they're going for.
Exactly.
Whereas a lot of times in games, it's just because you can't tell what the player's going to do, it's just generic in the background.
Yeah.
And I think it would be cool if they were able to take that methodology of getting music that was customizable and then use that as a way to accentuate what the player is doing, in a good way. I think that would be very cool. So yeah, that's the answer to your question, Ed. All right, our next one comes in from Tim, and Tim says simple question: Rambo or Die Hard?
Die Hard.
Die Hard.
Yeah.
After last week, all your Rambo?
Oh, yeah. I love Rambo, but Die Hard, man.
I think this question has a flaw.
Oh?
Well, I mean, like, okay, so just on a regular Thursday afternoon or whatever, probably Die Hard. But it's like comparing Smokey and the Bandit to Schindler's List. Like,
I wouldn't say it's that much of a stretch.
Okay, that was two bad examples. But, Rambo, First Blood Rambo is more of a drama.
Yeah.
It has a few action sequences in it, but a lot of it's more dramatic. Whereas Die Hard is one-liners and Bruce Wayne jumping off a building.
Die Hard is one of the greatest movies ever made.
You're not going to hear me argue with you.
I better not.
You put your eyebrows up like, come at me, motherfucker. It's like, I could recite Die Hard from memory because when we were kids, we used to watch it all the fucking time.
That is one of those movies that you just know every line to.
Oh, yeah. Eminently quotable. So there you go, Tim. Rambo or Die. Die Hard or Lethal Weapon?
Die Hard.
Die Hard or what's over Die Hard?
Action movie wise?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Predator.
Die Hard.
Die Hard.
Yeah.
I think I would almost rather watch Predator than Die Hard.
Die Hard.
I love it when they put aliens and shit into a movie, and Predator has almost as many good one-liners as Die Hard.
It does. No, Predator's solid. I love Predator.
What's better than Die Hard? What's better than Die Hard?
As far as action movies? Nothing.
Yeah. Nothing?
No. Die Hard's like probably my top 10. Probably the best action film if you're going to categorize it like that. It's not my top film, but it is, I think, the best action movie.
Okay. All right. I'm going to think about that. I'll come back at you sometime with other stuff.
Bring it.
All right. Our next question comes in from Ghost Actual, who says, Dear Overlords, I'm a soldier in the United States Army National Guard, college student, and gamer.
Thank you for your service.
This question is less on video games, but in zombie lore in general. Why is it in zombie lore the military is always either defeated easily or suddenly turned evil? And what is your opinion on the matter? Personally, I think that there should be a game that has you in the shoes of the military during a zombie apocalypse like Call of Duty mixed with The Last of Us. Sorry for the long question. Keep rocking, you guys. And there's additional information here. If 4 random people can survive a zombie apocalypse, why can an entire army... an entire army fend them off? If we can fight people who are smart, strategic, and capable of firing back, why can't we take on slow zombies, even if they were the zombies in I Am Legend? Those were like vampires, though, right? And if we were ever given orders like the orders in the beginning of The Last of Us, spoilers, we have free will, we are decent human beings, and if there was ever an order given to us like that harmed civilians, we have the legal right to disobey that order, and our commander would be court-martialed. Ghost Actual.
He actually brings up something that really pisses me off, and I think it probably does him as well. Really pisses me off, especially in zombie movies. And this has been a thing since, since what, Dawn of the Dead?
Okay.
Day of the Dead? Definitely Day of the Dead.
Right.
Where the military, period, is always maligned as a bunch of psychopathic murder junkies.
Yep.
And I hate that. It's good to see it every now and then, but that's what every zombie apocalypse story turns into. That the military are the bad guys. And like in 28 Days Later, it's not even the zombies at the end. It's the military.
Sure.
Oh, they're the real bad guys.
Sure.
It's like, come on, man. Really? Really?
I've actually talked about this at length. And like, if the military weren't colossal assholes, it wouldn't fit in with the theme of every single zombie movie. There's how the people are dark and shitty at heart, and we're all a fucking bunch of assholes, which is total garbage.
Right.
It's total garbage. We help each other all the time. And my worry has always been that if you keep proliferating this attitude in this type of fiction, eventually people are going to believe it. Like, young people are going to get so much of this that they're going to be like, well, yeah, all human beings are inherently shitty, dark human beings. What's like, our history as a species is about banding together to fight off elements.
Yeah.
Now, I can tell you that I'm right there with you, Ghost Actual, as far as why does the military get beat. I will tell you that in World War Z, they do go into an explicit chapter. It ignores a bunch of shit, but where they say that the modern military's tactics are based on essentially shocking and overpowering an enemy with an excessive show of force.
Right.
And that zombies don't have any survival instinct or anything, so they don't run away, they don't stop, they don't get cowed. Right.
They don't get shocked or awed.
Right. And the other thing is
it's really insightful.
A lot of the like, when you shoot at a zombie, depending on what zombie you're talking about, but in this one, they've got the destroy the brain to murder the zombie, right? In that book, they were like, so they use like explosive ordnance and stuff like that on them, and it'll blow them apart, but it's not actually destroying the brain cavity on a big chunk of them. Like, because a person, you blow up you blow their legs off and
it's done. Yeah.
Right, but a zombie keeps crawling at you, trying to murder you.
And they're not used to headshots. They're taught to shoot the torso.
Center mass, right, where you put somebody down. But the thing about that whole thing, which I've said multiple times and never has been a good answer, is that tanks...
yeah,
like in the battle of what was it? The battle of like Brooklyn or whatever it was,
Yonkers.
Yonkers, right? Where they have like this one choke point for the zombies to come through.
Yeah,
just run some armor out there and then just do donuts in the zombies.
Yeah,
because like the zombies can't get through your armor, and you could have a tank go out there and just run over zombies, and then it's covered in zombies and shit, and then it drives back, and then it just drives up to the military base. There's a guy with a flamethrower there waiting. He just torches all the zombies off.
That's it.
They fill up the gas tank and turn around and go back out there and do some more. Like nobody. I mean, I've had like. They've got this whole thing in World War Z. I keep wanting to say DayZ. Mm-hmm. In World War Z, where they've got this like complex fighting where they're like Civil War style, like wall of fire, continuous shots. Like zombies, just armor a bulldozer
right.
and push them into a big pit and then set it on fire.
Yep.
So I'm right there with you, Ghost Actual.
You need to put zombie apocalypse consultant on your business card.
I think a lot about zombies.
I know.
Grant and I were actually having a conversation on our playthrough of The Last of Us about what I want is a zombie movie where it takes place in a smaller area or something, like maybe something like Outlast, where you're in a sanatorium or something like that. So like a real creepy area, but that your protagonist is like fucking like Son of Sam. And so he's like the greatest zombie killer of all time, but there's maybe some other people in there, but they can't trust this asshole because he loves to murder people.
Yes.
And they're like, once all the zombies are dead, he's going to go into the walls and then start murdering us next. I would watch that movie.
I think that sounds really good.
I would watch that movie.
But it doesn't do much to forward your people aren't horrible pieces of shit.
Well, no, because he's a clinically insane person.
Okay.
It's not like, because the way that zombie movies go is everybody's essentially clinically insane until proven otherwise. Anyway, we gotta move on here.
All right, yeah.
All right, this next one is from Rizky. And they say, "Hi, Jeff and Jason. I'm an Indonesian listener and been a fan of the show since the old times, loving all the new content."
Awesome.
So
welcome.
Here's my question. Do you need to get or lady, I can't tell by your name, you need to get a Reisstaffel on me because that shit is delicious and I haven't had one in years. I think the video game medium is the most unexplored, creative, and artistic medium that exists today.
Agreed.
The interactivity that is provided within video games provides infinite possibilities for game developers in terms of storytelling and immersion. One thing that bothers me nowadays is a strong inclination for video games to become movies. Excuse me. These are games that rely heavily on cutscenes and the skill of the writers. Although I do love a great story in video games, I think games that rely heavily on the writing, such as The Last of Us, Uncharted, BioShock Infinite, etc., are kind of holding video games back. Games should focus more on game mechanics and how to flawlessly integrate gameplay and interactivity with the storyline so the emotions you feel transcend the limitations of the writers. Like in Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, where what happens in the story affects how you play the game at one point, or in Journey, where the story is built on the gameplay experience, or even Papers, Please. What do you guys think on this matter? I guess in the end, these cutscene-based games are the safer choice for developers so they don't bother trying new things. Sorry for the long email. Hope you guys read it. Wish you all the best.
You make a lot of good points. You're right, and you're also kind of wrong in a way. Video games are very much a nascent medium. Right, it's very new.
Sure,
movies have been around for decades more, and so a lot of the developers are expressing things in games that they learned from movies,
sure,
and from books, and so you're going to see a lot of imitation. But you do see some people trying to push the envelope, and that's going to become more and more common. I think we're seeing it every day now.
Yeah.
As far as saying what games should be, they can be anything. So you're almost, and I'm not being argumentative, you're almost contradicting yourself and saying that games, infinite possibilities, so they should be this.
Right.
They can be anything.
Yeah.
I mean, they can be all story. Mm-hmm. They can be all gameplay. I mean, that's really more of a personal predilection for, do you like, raw gameplay? Do you like a balance? Do you like all story? something for everyone.
Sure.
So saying it needs to be one of those is really more just your preference than it is anything else. I mean, it's a big enough medium. There's room for all different types of experiences.
I think that I agree, I definitely agree with you, and I think that when you take a step back from it, what you're seeing is at a high level like concept. What you're seeing is the idea of passive versus interactive storytelling, right?
Yeah.
We got passive storytelling as a species down cold, man. Like cave paintings all the way to today.
Yeah.
We know how to tell a passive story where the person who is hearing the story is or seeing the story or whatever is a passive observer that has no interaction. I was actually talking with you about this. It's something I was thinking about a lot a few weeks ago. Interactive storytelling is not something that we know yet.
Right.
It's brand new.
Yeah.
Like, one of the reasons
30 years maybe?
I in all honesty,
40.
I mean, outside of like the only thing I can think of before video games, you probably had things like pen and paper RPGs,
right,
where you're writing your own story.
Yeah.
Was it like murder mystery parties, right?
Oh,
where you have somebody set up
sure.
You're inside of the story or whatever,
or
even
kind of a mutable narrative.
Some kind of some board games that are a little bit more narrative focused or whatever. There's stuff out there like that. But that as a species, we're brand new into 20, 30 years into interactive storytelling. And it's just I think a question of right now we're seeing half and half. Like you look at The Last of Us and all that interactive cutscene stuff is great, or all the non-interactive cutscenes are great. Then they tell you a story in a way that you know how, so they hook you into there. But there is a disconnect between the part where you're playing and when the game takes control away and puts you into the role of observer. I mean, we've gotten used to it, but it's still a little bit jarring. So the question is going to be, like I feel, is we're starting to see things like they're talking about with Brothers and Papers, Please. We're starting to see the beginning of people learning how to tell a story because it's harder, right? I mean, as you write stories and stuff all the time. It'd be way harder if you had to try to take into account, how am I going to make a person read my story the right way?
Yeah. And that's, I mean, there are practical limitations to that. Whenever you're programming something, you can only put so many options in there.
Sure.
That they say in here about infinite possibilities.
Right.
Yes and no. Mm-hmm. You are still limited by programming time.
Yep.
So you're still going to be funneling people. Mm-hmm. You're still going to be corralling them into a certain direction.
Yeah.
Or a certain number of directions.
Sure.
North, south, east, or west.
Well, you look at, spoilers for OG BioShock, you guys. You look at BioShock, which I've talked about before, about how BioShock was an interesting take on that because BioShock had some freedom for you to move around the environment and do what you wanted to in the order that you wanted to. But at the end of the day, the narrative was that this guy comes on the radio and uses this psychic trigger that makes you do what he says, which the game itself won't let you progress until you do the thing that he says. So in a way, they blended the two things together so that you're doing all these things that he says, and then that becomes a plot point later on. Now, I don't think that works multiple times, but the examples that they gave here, like Brothers, and Brothers had a long build-up for the thing that it did with the mechanics that was very effective, super effective. Got me right in my icy cold heart of blackness. But it takes something more creative, and right now I feel like we're also like this argument brings up another point, which is that we are right now, I feel like, on this weird seesaw of games for profit and games for artistic expression. Games like as a storytelling mechanism that benefits mankind versus we need fucking $60, man.
Yeah.
And that we're seeing both sides of that equation play out right now.
The age-old battle of art versus commerce.
Exactly. I fall on the side of art. I don't know about you, but
I don't know.
You like the commerce?
Yeah. I mean, the commerce, it's necessary. You have to be able to sell something because art does not. You can't just make art in a vacuum. Most places don't have any. You don't have a patron.
Well,
I guess we do.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a time in human history when state governments would give out grants and shit to arts programs that would fund this sort of stuff. Where I guess that's one of the things that kind of gets to me. I talk with Allison a lot about this, about how like there was a time in human history where not every single piece of creative art had to be able to be sold for a profit, and that was the only way that you were going to be making stuff.
Right.
Like you would have an
No,
art.
I agree with that.
And that's kind of shitty that we're in that position where everybody's got to be a filthy fucking capitalist in this country.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point.
Anyway, our next question comes in from Richard. Richard says, hello, with Last of Us and BioShock both releasing short but critically acclaimed DLCs, do you think this could set a new trend amongst primarily single-player games to include short but good DLC instead of the usual crap? Also love the increase in Patreon videos. Richard. I brought this up because I was going to kind of pitch it to you, right?
Okay.
I know there is a lot of crap DLC out there.
Sure.
But there's also a lot of not crap DLC out there before BioShock and The Last of Us came
a lot
along.
of good stuff.
Lair of the Shadow Broker, all the stuff for Fallout 3.
Yeah.
Like, there's been good DLC out there.
There's been great DLC.
But do you think that, I guess you haven't played all the way through the Burial at Sea.
No.
I haven't even had a chance to play through the Last of Us one yet with all the other stuff that's come out.
Oh, right.
I hear a lot of good stuff about it.
Yeah, I feel like DLC it's the same as a game release.
Yeah.
And it really depends on the motives, I guess, of the publisher.
Yeah.
So it could go either way. It's like, some games are going to be bad, some games are going to be good. It's the same with DLC. And I think if a publisher has the I don't know, the wherewithal to give the developer what they need, and the developer is able to keep their shit together and make a good game, then they can probably come out with good DLC. You have to balance. It's like, don't neglect, and this is something we talked about a few weeks ago, don't neglect your original product,
right,
so that you can make good DLC.
Sure.
There are a lot of plates spinning here.
Yeah.
So you don't want an Arkham Origins where, we've sold all we're going to of the game.
You're poking the bear.
Yeah. We've sold all we're going to of the game. We're just going to focus on DLC. No.
Right.
You know what? Go to hell. I'm not buying your DLC.
Yeah. Well, I also feel like part of what might be causing this particular shift is that in the last, 5 years or so, the amount of DLC has increased exponentially.
Oh, yeah.
So with so much DLC, I feel like it's an odds game, right? When you've got so much DLC, you're going to have some of it that's actually really, really good. Where you've got people that have that factored into what they want to do, and spec'd out for it ahead of time, and they spend enough time with it that they're able to put out something that isn't just like, here's some guns, or here's some skins for your guns.
Exactly.
Or here's a,
that always annoys me. And honestly, a lot of the Batman stuff annoys me. Here's another challenge room.
Right. Another challenge map or whatever. Yeah. It'd be like if companies were like, hey, we put out this $10 DLC. It's more concept art that you did not unlock before.
Right. Yeah.
But I
want to see more of the story, more of the campaign.
I think that Bethesda does it right. I mean, the DLC for Skyrim was all really good. I think that BioWare,
Call of Duty does it well
with what map packs and
map packs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's what people
multiplayer.
want.
Yeah,
that's what people want.
Mm-hmm. BioWare, I thought they did it really well in BioShock in Mass Effect 2.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bit upset with them about the amount of stuff that they held back for.
Yeah.
I mean that stuff with Javin, or what was the guy's
Javin.
Is that his name?
I think so.
Okay. In Mass Effect 3, like that stuff was integral to the plot. And then they had
that was cheap.
I've often said, and the fact that there isn't, I don't know if there is. Last time I checked, there wasn't a Mass Effect 3 like Game of the Year. Here's all the DLC edition for $50.
Yeah. I feel like DLC needs to be a dessert.
Yeah, I mean, like with Mass Effect 3, they really went in and fixed like the Leviathan, fixed some of the ending stuff, and then the Citadel fixed some of the ending stuff for me, and that pre-order deal, the day one DLC was not. That's what I don't like. I don't like the day one stuff. But then we've talked about this before. They're so damned if they do, damned if they don't. Because if you work on DLC concurrently with finishing the game, then people get pissed off that you weren't just putting all that into the game.
Yeah.
Whereas if like BioShock, you release it and then it takes you 6 months to put your DLC out, people are like, "Where's the DLC? I bought the season pass. What the fuck, you guys?" So
every now and then a company gets it really, really right.
Fallout 3's DLC was my favorite.
Fallout 3, Red Dead Redemption, Skyrim.
Oh, yeah.
Which coincidentally are 3 of our favorite games.
Yep, absolutely.
Maybe not coincidentally.
No, yeah. What, you mean we would bring up Skyrim, Red Dead, and
again and again and again?
Fallout 3 on this podcast? What? All right, our next one is from AOTL, who says, "Hail, Jeff and Jason. Have either of you two played Dwarf Fortress? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? If not, have you ever intentionally fantasized about an Argonian riding your baloney pony?" No connection between those two questions. Just curious. Danke, mein Freund, AOTL.
No and no. Have not played Dwarf Fortress. I heard it was very frustrating and a challenge.
Yep.
I'm curious about it, but have not fantasized about an Argonian, although I bet Allison has.
Yeah?
Because she's weird like that.
All right, so to answer your first question, I know of Dwarf Fortress. I've actually had a few people asking us to play it on Savage Tits because they were like, we should introduce people to it. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that I don't know anything about Dwarf Fortress. Like, it's a harder game to pick up and play. It is. As for the second one, we played the Elder Scrolls beta last week, and I noticed that the Argonians in the Elder Scrolls game have a thing that when it shows up is always interesting to me: lizard tits.
Lizard tits. Yeah, that's
why
not a
does
thing.
a lizard need tits?
That's not a thing.
Yep. Lizards don't have boobs. They aren't mammals. They don't lactate. They don't need them for any reason.
Yeah, science.
So I tell you that a long time ago, when I was working on Star Wars Galaxies, right?
Yeah.
So they have the Trandoshans.
Trandoshans, yeah.
Right?
Bosk.
And do you know that in Star Wars Galaxies, I mean, it's gone now, or use emulators or whatever, but in Star Wars Galaxies, Trandoshan females in that game did not have any tits.
Hey.
And that was requested all the fucking time. People were like, I want tits on my Trandoshan. And people were just like, that's not part of Star Wars canon, bro. Like, Trandoshans are lizards. Lizards don't lactate.
They're reptiles.
Right. So the question is, would you have sex with a lizard lady? Would her having any breasts make a difference?
You know what? Breasts would definitely make a difference. They always make a difference.
Okay.
I don't have sex with human ladies that don't have breasts.
Okay. Okay. All right. I don't have anything for that. I'm going to go ahead and move on here. As far as Dwarf Fortress goes, I mean, like,
bring them titties.
I am interested, but I doubt until Rage Select becomes the like the company in Blade Runner. What's the name of the company in Blade Runner?
Oh, God, with the owl.
Yeah, the fucking dude.
Weyland Yutani.
No,
that's Alien.
That's Alien. All right, if I can't remember it.
I don't remember.
Until we become a giant, until I can hire, like, another person on full time to, like, not to do some of the things that I do on a daily basis, probably not going to get a chance to, because I wouldn't want to put Dwarf Fortress on the show unless I was able to tell people something about it.
Yeah, you don't want to half-ass it.
Right, so... but I have heard of it. I have a friend who is way into really hard RPGs.
Yeah.
Who really likes Dwarf Fortress.
Okay.
Another one of my friends who really also likes Dark Souls a lot. So, all right. Our next one comes in from Ken. Ken says, "Hi guys, big fan of your work. Your podcast and dojo episodes have reignited my love and overall appreciation for gaming. My big question is, when is it acceptable to add to canon and or rewrite continuity? Does it need to be done in the medium that originally created the work, or can this be done in a new medium? For example, with the upcoming Superman versus Batman versus JLA versus Hitler versus Space Yetis." I didn't know they had added Hitler or Space Yetis.
Not familiar with that one. But okay.
Movie coming out.
I'm in.
There is a lot of belief that this won't be considered DC canon. Also, the X-Men movies have butchered their continuity beyond repair. If these stories were told through comic books and not movies, would there be a level of forgiveness afforded to them that is going to be denied from the eventual movies? Thanks for reading my question. Keep up the good work, Ken. Ken, kind of seems like you're asking two different questions there, as far as canon and continuity, and then
good questions though.
Are movies held to a higher expectation? I mean, I think the first thing though, right, is to point out is that both Marvel and DC have multiple universe Elseworlds. Kind of.
Yeah. No, it's if you're going to rewrite continuity, do it in the originally created thing. Otherwise, it's I see where he's getting at. I just if there's something in a video game, I'm not going to I'm not going to treat it as canon when I'm reading the comic.
Okay.
But this has been a question that's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I want to say, like Jimmy Olsen was first introduced in the Superman radio show or something like that.
Okay.
And was
Kinda
not in
like
the comics.
Kind of like Harley Quinn was in the animated series.
Right.
And then reintroduced in the comics.
Yeah. Perfect example. So, yeah. I don't know. I like to keep the mediums kind of separate. Of course, comic books being my big love. It's like, I don't know. Treat the canon as where it originally came from, where it originally spawned from. Mm-hmm. Like if they're doing something radical in a Halo comic, well, I'm going to treat the Halo video game as
canon,
as the word.
Sure,
So yeah, it depends on where it started.
I feel like there's a couple ways to do it. Like if you want to, okay, here's my take on the matter. I feel like you've got two options. There's two things that you can do, and then there's the thing that they always do that I don't like. So say you've got a property that already exists, like X-Men, right? And you want to take a whole different take on the X-Men. You want to like recast it or whatever. Mm-hmm. Just fucking make that movie and just be like, we're rebooting. It's a reboot. It's a new thing.
Yeah, sure.
Fuck it. Or if you want to do something along the lines, some people don't like it, of say Star Trek, where you say, we're acknowledging that there is a previous canon to this, but we are going to explain why it's so different now than it was before.
That's tricky.
What I hate is when the third movie or video game or whatever comes out, and they're just rewriting shit with no explanation, no even nod to the fact that this shit was totally different back then, that there's already things that say, like the new Castlevania games.
Yeah, we were just talking
with you about that. So I think that it's all right, and I think that sometimes, when you've got a creative team that has a vision for something and they write you into a corner and then quit, and the people who own it are like, well, we're going to have more of these.
Right.
Figure out a way out of this bullshit.
Yeah.
And I for one, feel like a reboot or continuity switches or things like that can sometimes be good things. They can breathe in new life,
Yeah.
I'm watching Fringe right now, and Fringe has got no problem just dicking with its own universe.
Fringe is
all up and down.
Totally willing to just say, okay, that's done, and then we're screwing this and turning this upside down, and new story.
And I appreciate that, because it means that there are no sacred cows, right?
Yeah.
Is that whoa, what?
Yeah. But you also have to have respect for the source material, I think.
I think so. I think that it's just a matter of you look at what do people like about the source material, and how are we going to best tell our story with that in mind?
Yeah.
As far as the second question, I'm not sure if this was kind of a second question talking about.
It's kind of an elaboration on the first one, I guess.
Do you feel that let's see,
a level of forgiveness
in the I think so.
If these stories were told through comics and not movies, would there be a level of forgiveness afforded to them that is going to be denied from the eventual movies?
I think
yes,
so.
Absolutely. Because because your comics come out every month.
Sure.
Usually. So plus you've got something stupid could just get ignored after a while, but the movies, man, those are forever.
Right.
But there's ridiculous shit that went on in Spider-Man,
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell, within the last couple of years, and people are like, we're just gonna pretend that didn't happen, and nobody's really gonna talk about it. But the movies, that's $100-200 million, and it's something that's front and center.
Plus, I don't want to get all stereotypical and shit, but at least from the friends that I know, it seems like people that are into comic books are way more willing to forgive comic books some missteps than they are than anybody that I know who's into movies are willing to. Like, people will drag a poor shitty movie out all the time. Just I'll do it, just slap upside the head. Whereas I was just trying to think of, like, if X-Men 3 Last Stand was a comic, it probably would have been not poorly received. It would have been like if you just taken that story and directly translated into comic, they'd be like,
that's a good point.
I mean, the X-Men, they've been to hell, and they've been to, look at what's happened in the Marvel continuity over the years.
If I had read the comic of X-Men 3 in continuity,
right,
then it'll be better next month.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll bring so and so back.
Plus, the other thing about comics is that you don't have to listen to somebody give a truly terrible line reading like fucking Halle Berry in the first X-Men.
And then you've got some practical things like Alan Cumming, the guy that played Nightcrawler in X-Men 2. He did not want to come back because the makeup process was so long. I mean, it took him hours to get into that makeup.
Yeah.
And that really sucks because Nightcrawler is one of my favorite characters. And so I was just thinking, oh, yeah, but this one's not going to have Nightcrawler. Whereas in the comics, they killed Nightcrawler.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like...
Spoilers?
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago.
Oh. Is he back?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they just brought him back. And I was like, oh, they're going to bring him back. It's fine.
Right.
With the movie, it was like, well, they're not going to have Alan Cumming playing Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
So it seems like it has a bit more impact, a bit more permanence when you're looking at a movie.
Sure. All right, we got a couple more questions. I think we got one short and one long. This next one is from Don. Don says, "Hi, guys. I recently discovered your website and been enjoying the content. Recently seen Judge Dredd for the first time, and it was hilarious." I'm assuming he means the original...
He must mean the Stallone one, yeah.
I mean, if he maybe he means Dredd, but if he does, I'm like, well, Don, I don't know if you...
you be careful.
Yeah.
Tread lightly, Don.
I wanted to know if you could recommend some movies in this category for my buddies and I to laugh at when we're stoned. P.S. We've seen Troll 2 already. Peace, Don from New York. So this is movies that are so bad they're good.
Oh, yeah, okay. Miami Connection.
Okay.
Miami Connection is sublime.
Right.
It was released on Blu-ray about a year ago through Drafthouse Films. It's great. Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space
is a lot of fun. Intentionally bad.
Okay.
Miami Connection is not intentionally bad. It's just terrible. That's a really fun one. God, what are some other ones?
I don't know. I'm having a hard time coming up with anything myself. Let's see.
Oh, The Room.
The Room. That's a good one.
Yep. Plan 9 from Outer Space. Another one.
Plan 9. I mean, you could do way worse than bad taste. You could do way worse than the just going through Mystery Science Theater's back catalog.
Yeah.
Manos, Hands of Fate, Mitchell. Those.
Absolutely. One of them on this list that Jeff has pulled up is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Next Generation.
Have you seen that?
Don't watch that.
Don't watch that.
Fucking horrible. There was another one though that you had up there. Oh, Return of the Living Dead. That one is high zombie camp.
Oh yeah,
and it's so much fun.
I've never seen it.
Gory. It's crazy. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's
a
some
good list, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty good list. I want to look at this. What do we got here? Oh,
Battlefield Earth.
Battlefield Earth and Showgirls. Showgirls is a pretty good one because there's a lot of nudity. It is. That movie is fucking ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Like watching, what's her name? What's the Saved by the Bell girl's name? Just she wants to be a fucking Las Vegas dancer with her top off so bad.
I can't remember her name.
It's got Kyle MacLachlan and
right.
Gina
Gershon.
Gershon, yeah.
Elizabeth. No,
is that
what is it?
It's Paul Verhoeven.
Oh, Elizabeth Berkley.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah, Battlefield Earth. That's a good one. That's
a lot of the Ed Wood stuff, but
yeah. Robot Monster.
Yeah. So that's a good list.
Yeah, that's a good list. List. I'm gonna go through one more page here.
Miami Connection, though.
Whoa.
Oh, Howling 2. Your sister is a werewolf.
Oh shit.
That's got lots of Sybil Danning boobs in it.
Is that actually the subtitle for that movie? Your sister is a werewolf.
Yes.
I've never seen that before.
It's bad.
Oh. What?
I've never seen Black Gestapo.
You know who you should write this question to? Brian Salisbury.
Yeah. The guy knows. Check him out over on One of Us.
Yeah. All right. And our last question comes in from Michael. Michael says, "Hello, Jeff and Jason. A question mostly for Jeff, but feel free to give your opinions as well. Okay, Jeff, say you didn't have an Xbox or PS4 or Xbox One yet and couldn't afford one for a while. With Metal Gear Solid 5 right around the corner, do you wait to get a PS4/Xbox One to see Metal Gear Solid 5 in its greatest glory, or do you give in and get the still a damn fine-looking game, just not the best you could see it in the PS3, Xbox 360 version? Thanks for you guys' past and current work. Been a long-time fan and will support future projects. Jason, I don't have cable, so I haven't watched your show outside of a few clips on natgeo.com, but best of luck with it. Rage on, Michael." Do you want to answer this question for me? You can probably answer this question for me. Is Jeff going to exercise self-control and wait until he gets the money?
If he doesn't have one and can't afford one, he's going to get it on this console. And then when he has the money for Xbox One or PS4, he's going to get it on that console.
Sure enough.
So, yeah. So maybe Metal Gear Solid 5 was not the best example you could provide there, Michael.
I mean, I think that right now, like, I know that we've got a lot of listeners out there who aren't just like, financial giants or anything.
Right.
But PS4 is $400, and that's not a ridiculous amount of money to put together. Let's not. I mean, I'm going to say
for some people it is.
Yes, I guess that's true. For some people it is, but that's not at least as near as I can tell right now. It doesn't seem like that's a bad investment. They seem to be supporting it fairly well.
Yeah, and it'll stick with you for several years.
I don't think either one of these are going anywhere.
Right.
Anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this is going to be in your living room for a long time.
I also don't see either one of them. I mean, maybe the Xbox One. But what do you think? Do you see what I'm doing? Price drop anytime soon?
But your question,
yeah.
Hey, as far as price drops, well, they've announced an Xbox One price drop.
Have they?
You didn't see that?
I didn't see that. No.
Yeah.
So sparse on my news.
No.
days.
Yeah, they announced it. I want to say it was last week or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure. Am I crazy? Am I making that up?
Okay, let's take a look. I got to look online here.
Yeah, Jeff's going to look online. But yeah, if you know, the difference between the PS4 and the PS3 version of a game is going to be noticeable, but it's not going to be huge. Oh, am I wrong?
It looks. Well, what's this say? UK,
it was in the
UK price drop.
That's what I saw.
Because they're paying like $6 billion per console or whatever.
Yeah.
So
okay, so yeah, in the UK.
Because I was about to say, dude, that shit launched like 5 months ago.
Yeah.
That's a little quickly to drop your shit.
Right. But yeah, you're not going to see a huge difference. I really don't think it's going to impact your enjoyment at all by going with. What, are there going to be some features missing or something like that, you thinking?
No, but what I can say, okay, this is what I will say. It kind of depends, right?
Okay.
Because we've been playing since we got the new computer and since the new consoles came out.
Yeah.
Almost everything that we played on the show has been either on the PC or one of the next generation consoles. And outside of like when Grant and I play The Last of Us every week, which is one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 3, you put in like a mid-tier PS3 game and look at it, like once you've gone up to the PC or the next generation consoles and you look at those games, just like, ugh, like it just doesn't look,
yeah.
You know. And I know.
I don't know. I think the previous generation is going to treat you just fine until you can afford a next gen one.
Well,
for a while.
At the end of the day, we've always said that the gameplay is what takes precedence over the glitz of that stuff. So, yeah. But still, they're making it a lot easier this time around than $700 PlayStation 3 last time, and that bullshit. So, well, and with that, we are out of questions. We're out of time. We're done.
Mail at rageselect.com.
That is the email address to send it to. You're just getting it in there before I say the wrong thing. Fitness at Rage. No.
Finagling.
Mail at rageselect.com is the email address. As you've seen, we will answer any of your questions. They do not simply need to be video game related, but we do appreciate video game questions as well. So tune back in next week for another episode of the Don Magic Memorial Podcast here on rageselect.com.